On your whiteboard, please tell me, what country do we send the CIA to overthrow an unfriendly leader? Who is it, Ryan? Iran. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what man do we send into Iran to overthrow the leader we couldn't defeat with espionage? What is the name of the dude that we give guns, planes, helicopters, ammunition that will eventually be used on Americans? Who is it, Mailu? Saddam Hussein. What is the outcome of the Iran-Iraq war? What is the outcome of the Iran-Iraq war? Good. What is it? You're not wrong, Gunnar. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. However, we haven't gotten there yet because right now Saddam Hussein's sitting in Iran. So what is it, Gunnar? Stalemate. Once the stalemate is in progress, Saddam Hussein gets a genius idea to invade what country? Here we go. Good. What is it, Dylan? Kuwait. Once he invades Kuwait, we have what U.S. in U.S. conflict? You see the connection of the two? Good. What is that conflict, Patrick? Persian Gulf War, or the Gulf Wars, what is commonly termed as. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what is the name of the U.S. president who is going to be in charge of the United States when the USSR finally falls? Well, 91. Yeah. Oh yeah, it would be H, wouldn't it? But he's considered the president while it's falling. Who is it? Tristan? Reagan. It eventually does collapse 91 when it officially wiped off, but 88 really starts going. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what is the name of, how does the United States beat the USSR in a spending war? What is it all over? The United States is going to lead the collapse on Russia and spending in what? What do we got, Alex? Military. No, we lose the space race. Well, we lose part of it. We win the overall. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what is the name of countries that are used as geographic buffers? Ah, damn it. Kind of gave that one away, if I'm being honest. Yeah, what is it, Audie? Buffer states. Shit. On your whiteboard, please tell me, give me an example of a buffer state. Good. What would be a buffer state, Elizabeth? Poland. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what do we call the revolutions while the Soviet Union is falling, when independent buffer states and satellite states are saying, well, hell, I'm going to do this on our own. Here we go. What is it, Jing Hao? Velvet revolutions. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what are the 3 stages of Chinese industrialization? Good. What are they, Callie?
Five-year plan, Great Victoria, and Cultural Revolution.
There you go. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what is the name of the social class system in South Africa that is super highly regulated on race? What is it, Daniel?
Apartheid.
Apartheid. On your whiteboard, who's the guy who broke the apartheid system? There we go. Who is it? Who is it, Bronson? Nelson Mandela. On your whiteboard, please tell me, a power vacuum is going to be formed in what country that will eventually lead to terror groups like the Taliban and Al-Qaeda once what USSR collapses? Who is it, Tristan? Afghanistan. Here we go. So, okay, so the Soviet setbacks in Afghanistan, obviously, Soviet system isn't going to be able to, is not going to be able to, I didn't get home until like 12:30 last night. It's been a while since I worked that late, so I'm clearly not doing well. So My apologies. The Soviet system is not going to sustain all of its buffer and satellite countries. One of the most dramatic places we see this, of course, is in Afghanistan. The reason why it's so dramatic is because the power vacuum is going to create terror organizations that obviously come knocking on our door on September 11th, correct? Okay, now we have power vacuums, of course, in Poland, Czechoslovakia with our Velvet Revolutions. However, this is going to be the one that directly affects us. Okay, so the Soviet Union is going to have Gorbachev doing his perestroika, glasnost to try to hold on to it. But of course, we know that Gorbachev is the last leader of the Soviet Union and eventually is going to collapse. We do know that we have new trade organization. The World Trade Organization is going to start, correct? This is where we left off. Is that correct? The World Trade, once the Soviet Union collapses, there's a sense of celebration around the world. Because remember, we've been fighting since 1945 to 1991. With that being said, people are really excited and people want to start trading worldwide. So that's why the World Trade Organization starts. That's why the Afghanis target the World Trade System, a World Trade Organization, or the World Trade Center in New York for the bombing. Because although the economy of Afghanistan completely plummets into chaos, what new system is now flourishing and thriving? The World Trade Organization, capitalism is now thriving while the Afghani economy plummets. So that's one of the reasons for the major attacks. We're going to start seeing global corporations work in a single market. Now, economic growth in Asia, you do need to know this. So, pre-World War II, all of the resources and all of the goods in Asia are being used and exported, processed in European countries, and then sent everywhere else, correct? That's what we've been talking about for, what, about 100 years now? Post-World War II, colonization is over. So, with that being said, Japan is under the Marshall Plan. The Marshall Plan is the post-World War II strategy for Japan. Who is in control of Japan? The United States. Why are we in control of it, Tristan? We won! To the victors go the spoils. So, what is going to be the first thing we do to Japan once we get in there in 1945? We take down their government because we don't want anti-American government in there. We don't want to do this crap again, correct? Millions of people have died. We don't want to do this again. So we dismantled their government. We're going to put pro-American policies and pro-American politicians in place. With that being said, we put limitations on defense spending. What are we trying to stop the Japanese from doing? Creating another what? Another, well, not a military. We don't want them to have an empire again. So we're trying to eradicate their ability to create an empire. We also do major post-war economic expansion over in Asia. What country is going to be leading this immediately in 1940s? Who is in the best position to lead this? Gunnar. Well, U.S. is going to be worldwide, but in Asia.
Oh, Asia.
Who is going to be the dominating power? It's kind of, you wouldn't really think about them because they just got taken over, but who is the power? They just got taken over, Japan. The reason why the Japanese are really friendly with the Americans today is not because we brainwashed the Japanese. We didn't. Okay, yes, we dismantled and killed anyone who hated the United States, absolutely. However, what happens is because we dropped 2 atomic bombs, correct? We didn't destroy Tokyo, we did bomb some of Tokyo and some of the regions, but we didn't completely obliterate Japan like Germany was obliterated, Britain was obliterated, all that. Really, it's only destruction of 2 major cities completely, and Tokyo is about half destroyed, okay? With that being said, their major industrial centers are still in power. So guess who becomes a powerhouse immediately after post-World War II in Asia? Japan. So what is Japan making pretty much right away? Money. So that because of that, they get on their feet very, very quickly, which is why Japan and the United States are best buddies today, correct? Japan has said whatever the United States does with North Korea, the Japanese will be on their team. The Japanese have already vouched that if North Korea sends any missile towards Guam, which is one of our protectorates, or Hawaii, they're going to shoot it down for us because they're in a better position to do it. The reason why they're friendly with it is not because we brainwash them, it's because we help their economy get back to controlling most of Asia. However, in the 90s, it's going to be overtaken by who? China. But who immediately gets their ground floor going? Japan. Which is why they're friendly today without the United States, because we didn't destroy their economy. Does that make sense? When we look at all of our colonies, Iran, Iraq, Syria, Afghanistan, is their economies booming? No. And the reason is because they were completely destroyed with all these conflicts immediately after World War II. Okay? So the four little tigers, you do need to write this down. These are Asian countries that economies can rise and plummet, and they keep coming back. These are economies in Asia that can fall and can keep coming back. One of them is Hong Kong. No, I'm looking for my cheat sheet on this because I can't remember who my four tigers are. For being honest. End of empire. Perfect. All right, so your four tigers. Yes, I'm just cheating and looking at the test. I hope that's okay with you. Is that, darlings? Yes? Oh, I've covered most of this like a boss. Nice. All right, here we go. Hong Kong is one. Singapore is your second. South Korea is your third. And Taiwan is your fourth. When we talk about little tigers, by the way, that's a straight up test question, which is why I went to your test to look for it. What that means is their economy can roar like a tiger and then completely collapse. And in a couple of years, guess what's happening again? Completely roars again, and then eventually it will collapse. Right now, South Korea roaring or not? It is roaring. It is one of the strongest economies in the world right now. It is killing it. Okay, so when we talk about these little tigers, these are going to be economic centers. Now, I think we would agree most of our belongings, clothing, technology is built in Hong Kong, Singapore, North Korea, and most definitely Taiwan. Can we agree? South Korea. Sorry, not North Korea. No, they're starving their people. They're dying. So, no, not North Korea, South Korea. So, we're going to see these little tigers are going to become. All right, so when we talk about China, they're going to start adding elements of a market economy. Is this going to have a big impact or a small impact on China? Hello? It's a big impact. Why is that going to have a big impact on China? How is China looking in 2018? Besides hosting Kim Jong-un, did you hear that? Kim Jong-un is in China right now, or he just got back to North Korea yesterday. He was there on a secret train. Not very secret if CNN's reporting it. Can we agree? However, he was there in secret. So, all right, trading blocks. So, these are very big deals. Of course, you should know some of these names. So, we're, of course, going to have a globalized community. Now, trading blocks are supposed to be there to ensure that everyone is making money, because if everyone's doing well, then the economy is less likely to crash. A lot of these lessons are coming out of the Great Depression. So, the first one is the European Union. It is 6 nations when it's formed in 1957. Okay, it's created in the Maastricht Treaty of 1993, moving towards political integration. Long term, 2018, how's the European Union doing? Not doing so well. Okay, what country is trying to leave it? UK, Brexit. They're trying to leave it. Well, no, they're still getting caught up in all the, which is why it was a big deal. Yesterday, did you see the United States expelled 14 Russian spies? Which is a very, very big deal. With that being said, it was all done on Angela Merkel's request. that any country in the EU and anyone who supports Britain needs to unify behind this message of Russia can't do whatever the hell it wants. And the United States fell in line. That's exciting. It was also very surprising that other EU countries, most of the EU countries also expelled 65 Russian diplomats were sent home yesterday, which is a very big deal, largest in history. And the European Union came through and supported, I just said her name, Angela Merkel. There you go. No, Merkel is Germany. All right, you do need to know OPEC. OPEC is a very, very big deal. You need to know what it stands for, so just don't write OPEC. Now, OPEC stands for the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. These are countries that have gas in its ground. Okay, so what happens is that historically, if you conquered the country of Afghanistan that has oil, guess what? You controlled how much you were going to charge for that oil. Okay? Well, OPEC says that if we get all of the oil-producing countries together, we can regulate prices. If you can regulate prices, are you going to do it in your favor or in the world's favor? In your favor. OPEC is incredibly successful. They are the ones who control the oil prices for the entire world. Does anyone know who's in charge of it? Gunnar. Saudi Arabia is in charge of OPEC. Okay, right now, have you noticed that gas prices are pretty low? Do you know why they're pretty low? Gunnar?
Aren't they trying to, destroy some country's oil market?
Yeah, they are.
It's a Central American country?
Yes, it is. Anyone know what country is getting destroyed by OPEC right now? Huh?
Is it Panama?
No, it's Venezuela. If you look at Venezuela right now, the people are starving to death. Their country is burning, and the government's really not doing much. Well, yes, it is. And because times are tough, and that's why. So OPEC controls all the prices. So what is happening right now, and this is a perfect example of how to teach OPEC. So right now, Saudi Arabia is in control of OPEC. They are the most powerful oil-producing country in the world. They're also one of the most wealthiest countries in the world, for God's sakes. Okay, with that being said, they want to own all of the oil refineries in Venezuela. Well, they, as OPEC, and Saudi Arabia controls OPEC, control the oil prices. So if oil prices are low, are oil companies making a lot of money or very little money, Haley? A lot of money or little? A little. So when you are low prices, you're not making that much money. When prices are high, are they making a lot of money or little money? A lot of money. So what OPEC is doing is that they are driving down the price of oil. So poorer OPEC countries cannot afford to produce oil at that price because there's not enough profits. So what is happening is Venezuela is going to have to do what very soon? Sell their oil. And guess who's going to be the first one in line to buy it, Alex? Saudi Arabia. And guess what's going to happen the moment Saudi Arabia buys those oil wells? Prices go up. Now, we've had wars like this before. In the 1970s, your parents will probably remember the gas line disruptions. What happens is that OPEC refused to open up too many barrels of oil to the world, which means that there were limited amounts of gas around the world, which means your parents were sitting in line at the gas station for hours and hours and hours on end just to get gas because there wasn't that much. Okay? That is because OPEC was driving up the price of gas by limiting how many barrels it releases. Okay? So, the more barrels it releases, the price goes down. Yes. The less barrels it releases, the price goes up. And that's how OPEC makes money. It's very powerful. The good thing is, it's both pro and con kind of thing, just like the World Trade Organization. It's good for some things, bad for other things. OPEC is really good at keeping the price kind of uniform and keeping it essentially consistent. Does that make sense? OPEC's pretty predictable. However, what they're doing to Venezuela, would we agree is the right thing? No, it's not. However, can the United States do anything about it? Why can't we do anything about it? Huh? We're not part of it. And why else can't we do anything about it? They control all the oil. So if we piss them off, what are they going to do? They're going to drive up the price, which is going to cost the U.S. government millions, billions of dollars. Also, we don't want an embargo on the United States, correct? Because we'd be completely screwed. So they kind of do, a lot of people call OPEC the people who are holding the world hostage. Are they wrong? But they're usually pretty friendly, especially right now. The king of Saudi Arabia loves Trump. He loves Trump. And they're besties. They've hung out like 3 or 4 times together. So, whatever your thoughts on that. Okay, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN, you do need to know them. Okay, they are going to help strengthen their economies, which is a good thing long term. You're going to see that it is going to make Southeast Asia one of the destinations of the fastest growing economies. Okay. A couple things I need to cover. Perfect. All right. So, Americanization. So, this is your cultural stuff. Americanization. After World War II, what country is completely intact? No, this is like real terms. I'm not making them up. What country is completely intact?
America.
America. So, we got bombed in Pearl Harbor. Is that where our manufacturing is done? No, it's a military attack. So, with that being said, after World War II, England, France, Germany, all of Western Europe, Eastern Europe is in chaos right now. What is the only country producing culture? America. Guess who's the only country mass producing movies? Guess who's the only country mass producing luxury goods? So guess who's making lots and lots of money? Guess who has no competition? Yeah! So when we talk about Americanization or McDonaldization, what that means is after World War II, people wanted a distraction. And who was more than willing to sell them that distraction? Yeah, that would be the United States. We call it McDonaldization because, well, everybody thinks Americans all we do is eat cheeseburgers all the time. And McDonald's is the most popular chain of burgers, so hence why we call it McDonaldizations. Okay, so what we're going to see is post-World War II, every country in the world is going to start being exposed heavily to American culture, which means every country is going to be exposed to the American ideal. Our movie stars are their movie stars. Have you noticed? This took me a long time to really grasp. I never went to Europe until I was 29. Okay, don't judge. I know, shut up, Grishma, okay? I know. I wanted to go since I was 5, okay? I'm a poor kid and I paid for all my degrees myself, okay? Thank you. So with that being said, I didn't go until I was 29, but I figured out before I was 29. But in every country, foreign country, they have their own celebrities. They also happen to have ours. So like George Clooney is like an international celebrity, but then like in India they have their own like major pop stars and all that, which we now here in America are starting to import some of this stuff. Beforehand we would just export our celebrities and stuff like that. All of this starts up to World War II. Okay? All of our movies are being exported. Everyone's consuming ours. Like for instance, if you go to North Korea, I was watching a documentary about North Korea 2 weeks ago. One of the most do you know what the most popular movie in North Korea is? Huh? No, it's not. Surprisingly, it's not the interview. Huh? The what? The B movie is number 2. Finding Nemo is number 1.
There's hope for that country yet.
Finding Nemo is the number 1 movie in North Korea, and of course it's completely illegal to watch American movies. It's like all over the black market. They estimate that if you own any black market movies, you own Finding Nemo. Could you imagine? It's one of the most popular movies. So I guess that's better than some of the other Americanized movies, correct? I think there's a lot of movies we publish here. Oh, I have no idea. Okay? So, climate change. So, the population is going to start soaring. Okay? So, China has always had a large population. China's population is going to surge tremendously after World War II. What other major location is going to surge in population? India, of course, as well. We start having more greenhouse gases, which is going to hurt the economy. Just don't hurt the environment. Don't tell my father. He believes climate change is a hoax. Okay, we have the Kyoto Accords in 1997. I don't think you need to know that. For instance, you do need to know that poverty is going to significantly continue to occur. Even though the world is at its wealthiest point that it ever has, we have some people still living at some of the poorest rates around the world. Slavery is officially abolished in 1960 in Saudi Arabia. Okay, we're going to see human trafficking is going to be. You do need to know AIDS. AIDS epidemic is going to hit where the hardest? Africa. You do need to write this down. Okay, so AIDS overwhelms government structures. I'd write that down. Oh, AIDS overwhelms government structures, social structures, and geopolitics. Okay, no treatment or cure is found. Okay. Now, here in the United States, if you are diagnosed with HIV, you can live for like 40, 50 years. You know that, right? Magic Johnson, right? He's been, how old is that guy? He got HIV in the 80s, and he's still kicking it.
He doesn't have it.
He doesn't? They cleaned out his blood that well?
Yeah.
All right, well, no.
There's no way you
I mean, oh, if you have plenty of money, you can. He's got plenty of money.
That was a South Park episode.
Well, then it has to be true. Then it has to be true. All right, global terrorism, of course. It's going to be terrorism. The definition of terrorism is a deliberate, systematic use of violence against civilians. Of course, what is the perfect example of this? 9/11. You need to know that Al-Qaeda, Bin Laden is the guy behind it, of course. You should know this stuff. War in Afghanistan, George W. invades Afghanistan to try to destroy all Al-Qaeda technology and bases. Does not go well. Okay, UN, global feminism, migration. Okay, I do have a couple things I do want to share with you. You do need to know the term. I'm just looking at my test. I hope you don't mind.
can get back to global
I would love to. All right, you need to write this down. WANGGUAN. WANGGUAN. It's a Chinese term called the net or the wall in air quotes. And it's China's a way to attempt to keep the internet out of China. If you go to China today, you're not allowed to get on Snapchat. Great Chinese firewall. There you go. You're not allowed to get on Snapchat. You're not allowed to get on Twitter. You're not allowed to get on Facebook. Huh? Something like that. WANGGUAN. Yep. So they have their own chatting systems and stuff like that. However, it's all super government regulated. The government is super making sure that nothing is being done without their approval, and as long as you're following. So they have their own Instagram. However, it's all regulated by the government, unlike ours, which is unregulated. However, with all this Facebook drama, have you heard that the U.S. government is trying to decide whether they should start regulating social media? Okay, you need to come up with how you think about that. Do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing? Okay, we saw how bad it is if we don't regulate it, correct? We know that the Russians used it. But we have to figure out that for us. All right. Perfect. So, major global conflicts. You're going to want to take a quick little note. Global conflicts. We got, I really believe our next major war is going to be fought over water. Clean drinking water is a massive challenge for all countries. You're going to want to write that down. Well, first of all, so the northern part of Mexico, okay, used to be the breadbasket of Mexico. What does it look like today? It's completely desert. And the reason is because we blocked off the Colorado River to make what reserve? What dam blocks it? The Hoover Dam. We literally killed off the breadbasket of Mexico with us blocking the Colorado River. The Rio Grande, which is the division for most of the border between us and Mexico, used to be grand. Now it's like a little sissy little river that's super highly polluted. And the reason is we blocked off the water going to Mexico. Now, we completely eradicated Mexico's ability to feed itself, sustain itself through its breadbasket. So if that was us and Canada started eliminating the water coming from Canada, what would we do? We'd go to war. Absolutely. Okay, so what can't Mexico do? Go to war. Can't. We're going to kill them. We're the strongest nation in the world. They're like maybe 400. Okay. Over in India, they're having the same problems as well. Between Pakistan. Pakistan is blocking off rivers flowing into India that could erupt in any second. We're also seeing a lot of these issues between European countries that they're blocking off the rivers in order to fuel, power all their rivers and stuff like that. It's a huge issue.
What about the Michigan floodwater crisis?
It's tied up in legislation. Isn't that great? Some of it has been redone. Most of it hasn't. Most people have just left. Here in the United States, isn't that a crisis? All right, you are pretty damn good for tomorrow. That was very kind. Let's see, Caroline. Taking extra interest in what I'm looking at over here.
What?
Yeah.
Test?
Of course it's a test. You know it's
No,
a
I
test.
thought you were looking at those.
No.
Shit.
Alright. You do need to know that post-World War II, people are moving around the country as free agents for work. So, like, for instance, we have a huge, massive Mexican population who come into the United States legally in order to work. And once the growing season is done here in the United States, where do they go? Back to Mexico. We have a huge, modern workforce that moves internationally in order to compensate for it. Oh, and you do need to know Chernobyl. Chernobyle. Chernobyl. Who can raise your hand and tell me what happened in Chernobyl? Colton.
There was a nuclear reactor that blew up and completely wiped out cities. Are able to live.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to kill like 100,000 people, and then some people are going to run for their lives. This is why we fear nuclear technology, which is why we don't want reactors and all that stuff. Chernobyl. It's going to be in Ukraine. Eastern Ukraine. Chernobyle. Okay, so Chernobyl. There's tons of documentaries about Chernobyl. It's a city that was literally abandoned in like an hour and a half. Like, people have just abandoned. I was watching something on Netflix a couple weeks ago about it, and they have a huge dog population problem.
They're wolves. They're huge. They're like massive. It's radiation. They're like 6 feet tall.
Oh shit, I haven't seen that.
Yeah,
That's
they're
terrifying.
crazy.
I might have to check that out. All I know is that they have like thousands of dogs running around. And no one, because all the people who lived there, most of them had dogs, and then when they ran away, they weren't allowed to take their dogs. So those dogs are just sitting there. You should be good for tomorrow. Oh, and China's one-child policy, you should know that, correct? Some of this stuff you should just be aware of. All right, you're good. 3, 4, 5, 6. 6. I didn't see anything about the wolves. That seems like